everyone, welcome back. So this is episode number 2 of my hashtag She Means Business series here in my channel. And just in case you missed the first video, this is a little series that I started just to kind of share career tips and tricks and things I've learned and things that are helping me still to this day, and my goals and just everything kind of career related. So I watch loads of these kind of videos on YouTube myself, so I figured I'd start my own little series here on my YouTube channel, and hopefully to help some of you as well. So I hope you enjoy this one. It's a Q&A today, so I got you to send me in some questions over on my Snapchat. So I've picked out the best 10, I have them on my phone here, and I'm going to just chat through them. They're the 10 questions that I think will share as much knowledge as possible with you, so let's get right into it. Okay, so question number 1 is, how did it all start? And this could be a very long answer, but I don't want to make any of these questions and answers too long. But long story short, I studied commerce and marketing in college. When I was in college, I used to do my summers, I used to spend my summers over in New York interning. So as I was interning, I was kind of learning about like blogging and digital marketing and fashion here in New York, and I was just intrigued. And while I was when I did commerce and marketing in college, I actually took a year out in between. Like, I was in college and then I took a year out and then I went back to commerce. And that year out, I actually did a fashion and business course. So fashion buying, fashion PR, digital marketing. It was a course in Galway, and that's actually where I learned about blogs first day. I remember I was in class one day and the teacher was like, okay, so write down your 3 favorite bloggers. And this was like 7-8 years ago. Would have been 7 years ago. And I remember being like, what is a blogger? I don't follow any bloggers. I don't know what that is. And I remember getting on my phone and I was like, Erika, quick Google what a blogger is, find 3, and I wrote them down. And I went home that evening and I was like, whoa, I need to look into this more. And that's where I learned about them. So ever since then, it was just in my head. And then when I went back to commerce, I finished out commerce then and marketing at NUIG. And then that's where I started Retroflame, because I was so intrigued about after learning it. So I did Retroflame on the side when I was in college, and then I moved to New York after that and continued to do Retroflame on the side. I worked as a full-time social media manager here with a company in New York. Their head office was here, and I kept doing Retroflame on the side, and it was always a hobby, and it was, you know, always there, but I knew I wanted it to be bigger, and I knew that I had to keep working full-time and keep earning my money, because when you start off something kind of like a blog at the beginning, way back in the day before it was like as big as it was now, you know, I did a lot of work for free, so I had to have something else as well. So kept going on the side, and then eventually a year and a half ago, last March, I was finally able to go full-time at Retroflame. I got a new visa here in New York. I was able to quit my full-time job, and I now do Retroflame full-time, and my sister works with me as well, Kaylin, here in New York. So a very kind of windy road, and I think it's actually a whole other video for, you know, how exactly all the little steps, because loads happen. That's just a quick overview, but yeah, long story short, that's how it all started. Okay, moving on from that, the next question will tie in well. So it's, how did you first start making money from your blog? This is a good question as well. So as I said, when I started Retroflame, it was just for free. There was like not many people reading it. I had just learned about bloggers. I started following them myself, and it was all pretty much for free. So basically, I started working for free, then I would get little jobs, and brands would find me, and I would reach out to brands. So I would literally find a brand I wanted to work with. So for example, River Island. So I'm like, I'll find their PR, I'll go on LinkedIn, I'll search Google, I'll find whoever their PR manager is, I'll email them being like, hey, my name's Erika, I have a blog, Retroflame, I would love to collaborate. And initially it could be a free thing, so they could maybe like send me some clothes, or I could shoot some pieces and I would wear them on my blog or my Instagram, and then that's how it would work. And then if they saw a good response from that, so if they saw that I sent over a lot of new followers to them, or that I sold a lot of that top straight away from when I put up the link, then the next time it might be a paid collaboration. So it's kind of like you have to prove your worth in this industry, and it's a bit easier now because brands have better ways of kind of seeing you straight away without having to kind of do it for free first. They know that you could be worthwhile, so more often than not it will be a paid thing straight away, but it's taken like 6 years to get to that stage. So there was a lot of free stuff done first, but it comes in gradually. And if you are a blogger just starting out, or if you're just starting your own business or whatever it is, you know, be patient. It's like the number one piece of advice I have for you. It's not going to happen overnight, and if it does happen overnight, I always think there's something fishy about that. So have patience, start off small, work really hard, prove that you're really good to these brands or to your customers, and prove to them that you're amazing at what you do, and I promise you before long you'll start seeing income coming in. Okay, next question. So I already mentioned this a little bit, but the question is, how do you know when it's time to quit working for somebody else and go work for yourself? And there's a few things I looked at when I made this decision. Number one was money. I had to be making sure that I was making enough money on my own thing before I was able to quit this kind of stable income coming into my account every month. And I will say that it's not always about the money, but there is bills to be paid. And I live here in New York, my rent is high, my bills are high, the kind of standard of life you live and eating out and drinks and everything is so expensive, so you have to make sure you can provide for yourself. But I will say that, like, my key advice to someone who is in a job right now and you know that in the future you want to work for yourself is stay in that job for as long as you need to, but use your like spare time so wisely. And if that means no more Game of Thrones on a Friday night or Sunday night or whenever it is, and I know people would be like but if you really want to quit that job you're in right now and you really want to be able to do your own thing, there is a lot of work to be done between A and B. So you have to use all your spare time to build up your own thing. So you have your income coming in every week, it's safe, you're kind of in a safe place, but at the same time you're building up this whole new empire. And when you get to the stage then that you feel that your own business is at the stage where you can earn enough money, you know that the potential is like insane, you can see it growing already, then that's where you can say bye to the old job. But I will say that it's always good to have experience. And even with blogging, like when I moved from Ireland to New York, and I'd already been doing Retroflame full-time in Ireland before that. Not full-time because I wasn't earning crazy money, but I took a year out to build it up. And then I came here and I went back into full-time work for somebody else. And at the time, I kind of hated my life. Like, not that's a bit dramatic, but I knew that I did not want to be working for somebody else. It's just not me. It's not the way I'm programmed. But I knew that by doing it, it would get me to the next stage. And while I was in that job, I learned so much. And even looking back now, I'm like, whoa, I'm still using things that I learned in that job. And I was able to save a lot of money by working in that job as well. And then I was able to put that knowledge and that money into my own thing. There's a lot to be said for, you know, getting experience and doing what you have to do and then doing your own thing on the side and then moving to your own thing full time. So just be patient and you'll always know when it's time to move over. Okay, next question is, this girl sent a few questions, but I'll just pick out one of them, which I think would be a good one. So it's, is there anything you had to sacrifice in order to follow your career path? That's a very good question, and I think a lot of times people don't see the things that you do sacrifice. Say if you're just watching this like video for the very first time and you're seeing me for the very first time, you might have any idea, and it's not your fault, of all the things kind of in the past that I've had to do to get here and the things I've had to sacrifice. And I guess one thing, and I think this is a good time to talk about it because a lot of people do ask me kind of about this subject, but when I was in Ireland and I was just finished college and I worked on Retroflame full-time for the year before I moved to New York, I was in a full-time relationship. I had been going out with Tommy, who I'm now back with. We'd been going out for 4 years, and it came to the time where I was able to do the graduate visa. And with the graduate visa in Ireland, you only have 1 year to do it after you graduate, and if you don't do it within that year, your chance goes. So it came to the time where I wanted to do the graduate visa, and I knew that I had to move to New York for my career. I knew it. I knew it in my like bones that it was the best thing to do. I'd spent my summers, I had seen the potential here for blogging and for fashion, and I knew it was where I needed to go. But at the time, Tommy was just about to start a master's in Ireland. So I guess I had to make that sacrifice and go with my own career and think of myself and put myself first. So we ended up breaking up, and I moved to New York, and I guess I followed my career path. And at the time I was like, oh my god, am I making the biggest decision of my life? You know, I'm leaving him behind, and should I just stay in Ireland and work on the blog here? And you know, all these thoughts go around in your head. And no, I was just like, Erika, you have to do what's right for you, or else you'll always wonder. And it turns out, you obviously know, that we're actually back together now. So we've broken up for a few years and then kind of got back together, kind of broke up again, kind of career thing again. We were living in different places, but now he's here in New York and we're back together. So I made that sacrifice, and I followed my own career path, and then it still worked out the way it was supposed to work out. So we got back together at the end of it all. And some people probably think I'm crazy, and I remember at the time some of my friends were like, are you sure you're doing the right thing, you know? I was like, yeah. I was 22 at the time, or 21 or something. I was so young, and I knew that if I didn't follow my career now and go with my own heart, I'd be miserable. Yeah, we would have stayed together, but maybe I would have resented him, or maybe we would have broken up down the line and it would have been too late to move. So put yourself first. And I know that's easier said than done sometimes, but go with your heart and put yourself first, and I promise you things will always work out the way they're supposed to be. So yeah, that's my biggest sacrifice that I had to make for my career, and I definitely don't regret it. So if you're kind of at a crossroads, or if there's something you kind of have to sacrifice to do something else, just really go with your heart. You don't ever want to look back and regret, so always go with your gut. Okay, now moving on, and we're getting through them. So the next question is, did you ever doubt yourself and question yourself about giving up? Yeah, a lot of times. I think when you work for yourself, it's kind of this like constant feeling in your head that you're not doing enough and that you could always be doing better, and you start a little bit to doubt yourself, and you're like, oh, should I just go back to work full-time for somebody else and, you know, not stress myself out so much about this or blah blah blah. And you have all this like kind of hard talk in your head. There's a quote, you probably already know by now that I'm obsessed with quotes, but there's some sort of quote being like, you know, instead of looking at how far you have to go, look at how far you've already come. And I love that quote, because so often we're so hard on ourselves, and as a result of being so hard on ourselves, we give up, because we, instead of looking at, like, you know, all the progress we've made and all the sacrifices we've made to get here, and like how well we're doing, we forget and we ignore all that stuff, and we're so focused on like what we still have to do and these huge goals that we still have to achieve. But just take steps. Instead of looking at A to Z, always look A to B, B to C, B to, oh my god, I can't even do the alphabet. B to C, C to D, you know what I'm trying to say. I love that as well. I love that whole theory, that method, because in the world we live in, we're constantly looking at other people doing well, comparing ourselves, and as a result we feel just kind of shitty about ourselves, to put it pretty bluntly. And I do think that being positive, looking how far you've come, will always helps me. So whenever I do feel like giving up, I take a step back, I have an iced coffee, and I think about, you know, me 6 years ago, and I think that always puts things into perspective. Okay, so next up is, how do you find working in New York? Do you want to stay there? Will you move back to Ireland to do blogging back there? You know what the question is getting to. So I love blogging in New York. It's very different to blogging in Ireland, not for any kind of majorly bad reasons or better reasons, but it's just different. And I guess I'm very lucky now that I'm full-time blogging in New York that I'm able to go back and forth quite a bit. So I still work a lot in Ireland, and whenever I go home, it's not always kind of for leisure. Like, obviously I get to spend time in Kerry, which I love, and see my family and all that, but I'm nearly always working on things as well. So it's always like a mix of work and kind of leisure trip, which I love. I mean, that's the dream, if you ask me, to be able to travel and work together. I think being in New York, it gives me the chance to work with brands who I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that I would be able to work with. So I think that's really exciting. And like this week I'm working with Samsung, and I've worked with just some amazing brands. I worked with Bobbi Brown recently, recently, some cool home interior sites, and I've just done stuff that I really never thought were possible. And I think if I wasn't maybe in New York and if I hadn't made that move here, then maybe that wouldn't have happened, or wouldn't have happened yet. So I think by being here, it's definitely been a huge help, and it's just helped me to get my kind of international audience, and I love that. I love having my audience in Ireland and in the UK and in Europe, and then I love having my American audience as well. And I guess when brands work with me, what they always say to me and why they like working with me is that if it's a US brand, for example, so they work with me for a US campaign, but then they're also kind of getting the added bonus of me having a European audience. So if that product or clothes or whatever it is available in both places, they're getting both audiences, and like not every blogger has that. So I think that's been a huge advantage to me, and of course it's been a lot of work. And when I moved to New York to blog, I literally started from the very bottom. I might as well have started with no followers, because I had blogged in Ireland. So I'd been doing it there 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. So I built up my PR contacts, my networking kind of system, my blogger friends, my audience, everything had been built up there. So when I moved to New York, even though I'd already been blogging 3 years, I had to start from scratch. I had to start getting to know the PR people from the companies I wanted to work with. I had to start making blogger friends. I had to build up an audience here. So I really did start from scratch. So I kind of always say that I did 3 years in Ireland and 3 years in America, so I'm kind of half and half at this stage, and it's just been fantastic. I've learned so much, and I just love it as an industry. So yeah, I probably will stay here for a while more. My current visa is until 2019, so 2 more years exactly. I'm coming up to my 3-year mark now soon, next week, in the US. So I probably will be here for another 2 years at least. That'll bring me up to 5 years, and I guess we'll see what happens then. But I'm always back and forth to Ireland, which I love, and I love being able to work with brands over there and see my family at the same time. So yeah, don't worry, I'll always be in both places. Okay, so the next question is kind of a long one, but again, I'll shorten it. So she's kind of, I think, a bit frustrated, the person that who's saying this to me. She's saying that she follows lots of bloggers and she constantly sees them with free stuff and going on free trips and all these perks, you know, and sometimes she doesn't really think that maybe they deserve it, but that she thankfully likes following me because I don't constantly show free stuff. And she wants to know my opinions on this. And this could be a whole other video. I think every blogger is different, and every blogger has different ethics and different kind of ways of doing things. Personally, for me, I've been doing it for 6 years. As I said, I did it for free at the beginning, and I would work so hard and around the clock, and I worked full-time and did the blog on the side. So I think when I'm at the stage now, and if I do get something sent free to me, and if I choose to show you my followers, like, you can be guaranteed that, you know, I've worked hard to get that free thing. It didn't just happen overnight. I didn't just start my blog yesterday and I'm getting free stuff today. And I think maybe that's what she's frustrated with, seeing bloggers who are in that situation. Like, they've just started and then they're like flaunting all this free stuff. And personally, I don't agree with that either. I'm a big believer, and I'm only really friends with people or surround myself with people who've worked hard to get to where they are, and they truly deserve their success. And with blogging, I look on bloggers like that as well. So the main bloggers I follow are bloggers who've been doing this for like 5 years, 4 years, 6 years, 7 years, and I know that whenever they get a success, or they get a free trip, or they get a huge kind of milestone in their career, I'm so happy for them because I've seen the work that's gone in. So I think if you are following people who maybe are annoying you, to put it kind of lightly, just unfollow. If someone is in your feed and they're just not kind of adding value to your day, or frustrating you, or you feel that you just don't think that they maybe have earned what they're getting, and as a result you maybe don't have respect for them, just unfollow. It's better to just like follow people that you truly are happy for. And I always say that, and when I get bad comments, or if I get bad messages or comments on these videos and stuff, I'm just like, why are you following me if I'm annoying you? You know, it's your own choice. Like, don't bring negativity to my channel, just choose to go away, you know. And I always say that. So yeah, just follow people and surround yourself in life in general with people who you're truly happy for. And if you find that you're not truly happy for someone, then there's something wrong. So that's a kind of a general life, I guess, piece of advice, really. Have I ever experienced situations where people kind of like look down on me because of the work I do? So people say to me, oh cute, you have a blog, what's your real job? And yeah, I've definitely experienced this kind of thing, and I think a lot of you might be able to relate. You have to stand up for yourself, and they'll catch on, trust me. I had friends when I started blogging, or even kind of friends of friends or ex-friends or whatever you want to call them maybe now, and they completely doubted me. They had no support for what I was doing. They couldn't understand why I was taking pictures of myself and putting them online, and they just thought that I was being like, I don't know what the word is, like vain and like trying to get famous and popular, whatever it was, but they couldn't see the business side of it and the long-term goal I had in my head. And as a result, like, they would really get me down, and in the end I just had to learn to ignore it and just go with your own goal. Be so focused. And Kaylin always says to me that I'm really good at blocking things out. Like, I'll go on Instagram and I'll never like compare myself to other people. I'll never look at their success and think that I'm not a success. I've gotten really good. It's like one of my strengths, definitely. I'm good at like keeping on line with my own goal and my own focus. I think I learned that from the beginning of blogging, because even when people were kind of like trying to get me down and stuff, I would be like, no, don't care, I have my goal, I have my vision, I'm going to stick to it. Because you only have one life, and I've said this before, and I know it's cringy every time I say it, but I've said it before, you have one life, literally one. You only have one chance to do what you want to do, so why let other people get in the way? So when people do say to me, you know, what's your real job, blah blah blah, more often than not, they're in jobs that they're not happy with, or they're in a situation that they're not happy with, and they're trying to get me down. So I've just learned to block it out, be positive, and think of my own goals and my own road ahead, and it works every time. Okay, now this room is roasting. There's two big lights shining like at me, and it's about 30 degrees outside, so I better stop this video. But I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. This was really only touching on some topics of career, but hopefully it'll give you a quick overview of kind of what I've done and what I'm learning. And there's loads of more videos I can do about this kind of stuff. Like, maybe in the future I can do a specific video about like what I did in college, or a specific video about how to start a blog. So just let me know exactly what you want to see. I figured it'd be good to start with kind of a general Q&A like this, and then from here I can see what you're most interested to see next, and I can get working on that. So I hope you enjoyed it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I would love for you to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, all that usual stuff, and I will see you next time. Bye.